Ladies and gentlemen, ears of corn all over the internet and indeed the world, welcome to the Corn Chronicles. The search continues. Your screen is not playing tricks on you. Today, I am joined by two guests, my dear friends, Mr. Alex Wong and Mr. Jason Kaplan. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me today. Yes, indeed. Also, David Ortiz is in the building. Yeah. Gentlemen, how we doing today, man?
Pretty good.
Doing
Thanks.
well, man.
Good, good. I'm happy to hear it. Thank you all so much for joining me. Um, Wong, Jason, and myself are all dear friends from high school, and I'm very, in hindsight, honored and certainly so pleased to have joined their ranks. When I got to know them, I was, at the very least, at the tail end of my freshman year of high school when I started hanging out with them earnestly. But their history kind of goes back a little further than that. And to be honest, man, I would love to hear a little more about how did you all meet and how did you all come to become the great friends that you are today. I don't know which one of y'all wants to look at that face. You might want to jump in there.
I'm trying to think, Paul, because 7th and 8th grade, like Wong and I kind of knew each other, but we weren't. I think we hung out a couple of times, but it really took till 9th grade biology class. And I would try to take an exam. I remember sitting in class trying to take an exam, focusing, and you just hear these swishy pants from Alex Wong. You know, Wong, am I right or not? You still wear those?
That was Spanish class in 10th grade, but I think we were introduced basically through mutual friends, Deanna Stockhausen and Mitt. I think we started actually hanging out when Jason, Sam, and Adam needed a singer for their garage basement band, and we're like, well, let's get Wong. And I didn't really know them at all, but I was like, this could be fun. So started playing, and I, got introduced to, I knew Sam and Jason, obviously, but got introduced to Adam. So there's a lot of good memories there. And I think, we just kind of jumped into
It was a basement band, man. I think we just started the basement band, and that was history, man. I mean, you haven't gotten any better since that day, but no, we had so much fun. That was like the beginning of our rock history. You know what I'm saying? Those are the good days. You can't really recreate that now.
Yeah, that's a terror.
Absolutely. And that brings me in. I met Wong through a summer theater program in Greece.
Oh, baby.
Which is comical in and of itself. And I definitely want to touch on that. I do. But based on where you all took the conversation right away, I think it bears more prevalence to kind of jump right into when I first started getting to know Jay, it was mostly, I don't want to speak for Jason, but I met Wong through Greece, which was such a clear kind of timeline of life. And as much as like we didn't keep in touch through Greece, it wasn't that kind of connection or even that kind of play. There was always like, even throughout times in high school before we became close friends, it was just like, what's up, dude? Like, remember that show we did over the summer? And it would just be like, yeah, man, I remember,
That was my first and only play that I did. And I was like, okay, this is like a lot of time that you guys put into all this production. So
yeah, was that a revelation to you, man? Can you take me through kind of that process, how you felt?
I kind of did it on a whim, and got roped into doing the play. I tried out for a couple of minor parts and didn't get them, so I was in the ensemble. But then I think we had 2 shows after 2 weeks of practice, and I think after that I was like, I can't do this with the layers of makeup that you have to cake on for the performance. Like, it's so uncomfortable to me. I couldn't do it. So I did that one, and that was it.
No doubt. Yeah. It takes a lot to make me look good, No, man, I'm so glad you did it. not a lot of people know, I did theater in middle school. Uh, I don't necessarily want to jump into why I started, but I did theater in middle school because it was conveniently like not during anything else that I was interested in. And especially back then, all I was interested in was basketball, quite frankly, as an extracurricular. Um, and it didn't overlap with basketball. And it was like, hey, man, like I like singing enough, let's do it. And part of the reason I was doing the summer theater programs is because I was trying to gauge how much I wanted to do theater going forward. Because in high school, it was the same time as basketball.
Right.
And rest assured, my basketball skills exist, but they're pretty modest. But at that age, there was a time where you could kind of decide just like, okay, I'm going to focus on basketball. I'm going to hit the gym and I'm going to do what I have to do to make the team and get better.
Right.
And so those shows like Grease and The Boyfriend were kind of very indicative. They had more of a sway on me than I think people realize in terms of me picking whether or not in high school I wanted to pursue basketball, which probably wouldn't have gone well in a big picture sense, or pursue theater, which I'm glad that I did. And certainly getting to know Alex during Greece meant a lot because he was the kind of person who was taking seriously kind of the craft of what we were doing, but at the same time, there wasn't this overarching seriousness of just like, we are doing theater and we love theater. And I wasn't kind of sold on that kind of mindset. And to kind of have that kind of mellowing presence of somebody. And Maddie Matura filled that role in high school, like during the actual shows. But I think it would be foolish to say that that's a reason Wong and I are still friends or anything like that. Like, but I think I took more from getting to know Alex during that show than he probably realizes, because it was very much as we both cared about the quality of the performance, we were able to like refuel with each other and just be like, so what are you doing after this? You know what I'm saying? So it was something that I really gleaned a lot from getting to know Alex. And I'm really glad that we obviously got to know each other after that summer program, and certainly well into now our 30s, which is a scary thought. But as much as getting to know Alex was cool, it's not like we left Greece like best of friends, you know? It wasn't until I got to high school where Alex and I kind of reconnected and we kind of forged our own bond. And a lot of that was through Jason, through Maddie, through the poker game, so on and so forth. What I'm leading to is I don't know if there was a definitive time where Jay and I frankly decided like, okay, we're friends now. But I do know that through the plays, word had kind of gotten out, not that it's exceptional or anything, but word had gotten out that I could sing and, you know, there was music to be made. And Jay and I were on the same bus, and I remember one time he just says to me like, hey, me and some friends are going to be playing music on Saturday, like you're right down the block, like you should come by. And to this day, probably my first musical encounter with Jay, and Wong certainly, is showing up to that very basement. And I'm walking down, and you know, Jay obviously lets me in, and I walk in and I see Wong in like a Nike sweatband holding his bass, right?
Yeah.
And it's one of those moments where it's just like, oh, hey, Alex. And he goes like, oh, hey, Tom, you know, because like it's literally just, yes, it's exactly that. Because it's like we know each other, but we don't know each other, you know?
Yeah. And Wong would go 100%. Like, you come to practice, sweatbands on it. The bow around the neck.
Dude, and so we spend all day, or what felt like all day, but I'm sure it was all day. We spent all day playing. There's this big old binder of lyrics and things like that. Like it was, oh, dude. And
I think he still has that binder too.
No, I lost it when you moved. I must have gotten lost under all the action figures.
Man, insane, man. But we spent all day singing these tunes, and we're just like, you know this one? And I'm like rifling through, and we're having a great time, and we're singing. But one of the memories I kind of treasure and pull from that day is we reach a point where we're kind of, I guess, I'm not going to speak for the group, but in my estimation, we're like burnt out on the covers a little bit. And so Jay just kind of starts playing, and I start making up a song about Bearded Kid, which is a guy that we worked with at Johnny's Bar and Grill.
I think his name was really Ken. I think his name was Ken, aka
Yeah,
Ken.
that was his name. Well done, Jason. Right on. And I remember we're just kind of playing along, and Wong keeps saying like, okay, and like, what key is this in? And
I was the worst at improv. I could pick up anything you showed me how to play, and then when you're like, all right, let's just jam, I'm like, okay.
Wong was good at pulling any instrument you gave him, and he would just be able to rock with you. You know, it was pretty cool. Even lyrics, still, I will say.
Right on, man. And I just remember Wong trying to like pick up like where we're going, and I'm singing about Bearded Kid, and that's literally how we're referring to him. And
Look who's talking now.
What's that?
Look who's talking now.
Yeah, exactly. Look at me.
I know, he's like the Mr. Kramer to be right here, baby.
Right on. Stage left. No,
Yeah.
but we're playing this kind of improv song, and Wong literally stops the song, and he's literally saying, he's just like, look, man, like, I don't improv. Like, I need to know what we're doing. Like, that's literally, and Wong's like not upset. Like, that's not the right word for it, but he's just like, hold up. Everybody stop. Like, let me know what we're doing. And then Alex goes, and I will remember this quote for as long as I live. He's like, Wong goes, is this really what we're doing now? We're writing a song about Beardy Kid? And Jason goes, it's not Beardy Kid, it's Bearded Kid.
Yeah, baby.
I thought it was Beardy Kid the whole time.
I know you did.
I still think it is. I think you guys are wrong.
Oh man. And the fact that like Wong was like, oh man, like he wasn't upset, but the fact that Wong was like pulling the plug on the jam, and then Jay was just like, by the way, it's Bearded Kid. I was just like,
oh man.
Just a treasured memory, man.
That was a classic.
And in spite of all that, eventually we just continued to kind of play some music together, and the poker games kind of turned into some real friendships, and fast forward to now, some of the best friends I have in my life. But I will never forget kind of that first exchange.
It's pretty crazy when you come to think about just how many friends we've made through music.
Yeah.
Like Ben and Jake even coming into the circle, jumping in a band with us back in 9th grade, and Sean Taylor sleeping in the basement, listening to practices. We're playing Rage Against the Machine, like rocking in his face, and Sean Taylor's just sleeping through it all. Like those, music brought us all together into one big circle. So cool to be a part of.
It's tremendous stuff.
Yeah.
I mentioned I had Zach on the program a couple of weeks ago, and I mentioned all those Cedar Beach gigs with First Aid hanging out up in the corner. That beautiful stuff.
Yeah, man. Yeah, or even just Dan Grant jams, baby. A little Dan Grant jamming down in Port Jeff.
Yeah, I find it kind of interesting that you say Dan Grant jams like there's plural when
there's only one, baby.
There's only one. And Dan Grant has some talent. Rest assured.
He does.
That's not my point of bringing this up at all. But
he just loved that song. He loved Puddle of Mud at the time, and that's what we played.
Man, yeah. It would be we would play Puddle of Mugs, um, She Hates Me, together. And then Dad would be like, "Wow, that was awesome," and it was. And Dad was a big part of that. Again,
And
Dan has a lot of
like,
talent.
we're playing this
fun at.
song, and we're in poor Jeff families are walking by with their kids, and we're singing "She Hates Me." Like, I mean, it was like the worst possible song to be singing at the time.
And then we would sing like one song afterwards, and then Dan Grant would very literally, and this I am making fun of, Dan Grant would be like, "Oh, like it's cool that we played a song to take a breath from She Hates Me. Like, let's just play She Hates Me again."
Baby, good times.
Tremendous stuff. Well,
Yeah.
Jay, to your point, man, music is a big part of what brought us together, and I've spent a ton of time playing music with both of you. But one of the low-key, if I could keep things kind of rooted in high school real quick, one of the low-key favorite memories I had of hearing you play music was at the Foreign Language Honor Society induction ceremony. Now, I'm gonna set a little bit of a back scene just for me. I was being inducted into the Honor Society, which I don't think took much, to be fair. I feel like that sounds more grandiose than it really was. But behind me was a gentleman by the name of Matt Campo. And I bring him up because his voice was very distinct. And that's genuinely all I'm saying about him, nothing about his character or anything like that. But he had a very distinct and deep voice, especially for kind of that time in our lives, okay? Like 11th grade. Like he was very like, this is my voice, you know? And that was him, you know? And I say that with respect, but it's just the freaking fact. And he was directly behind me. And the whole ceremony is just like this call and response of just like, do you take this seriously, or will you join in a poll? And we have to read stuff back. And so Matt Campo is directly behind me. He's just like, I commit to the services of this, that, and this. And dude, I am in stitches because it's just making me laugh. You know what I'm saying? I'm shocked. And we're talking about, if this whole ceremony is an hour and 20 minutes, I spent an hour and 10 minutes laughing so incredibly hard, to the point where afterwards, parents were coming up to me and saying like, "Hey, thanks, man. Like that was freaking awesome." You know, like they weren't all like that chill about it, but they were all just like, "Dude, like you were the highlight of that ceremony," just because I couldn't stop laughing. Now, I give you that backdrop because there are these breaks in the action where we're not doing the call and response ceremony part of the service or the ceremony. But two of, I think, the three musical kind of breakaways. One is Jay and Sam doing some Spanish flamenco work, which is what I want to talk to them about. But another one is Kate Rosenquist, tremendously talented person, then and now, I'm sure. She is singing this song, I think, in French, in another language, obviously, for the purposes of the ceremony. And something catches her by surprise, and she, like, in the middle of just like, this really lovely, she's so talented, she really is. In the middle of this song, she goes like, you know, like she just like something catches her, and she like starts laughing in the middle of this like song that she's singing. And that takes me, like, just when I'm starting to settle down from the Matt Campo experience, like that catches me and I'm gone again, you know? Yeah. And then Katie's done. Jay and Sam step up, and it turns out my laughter is nowhere near from done. Jay, can you kind of talk me through your prep for that performance and kind of what that performance wound up being?
Tom, I really can't because I blocked it out of my memory, man. You know what, man?
That was definitely thrown together over like maybe 2 days, if that, of practice, where Sam's like, all right, you play this, I'll play this, and it'll be cool. It'll be like a Spanish, you know, like flamenco, and we'll just do it. And they like threw it together, but the what happened at the performance was they're like, oh, we need like surround sounds. We'll put Sam all the way to the left and Jason all the way to the right so that they can't even hear what the other's amp is playing. And they're just like, okay, go. And we're not in sync at all the entire time.
Nothing is.
So it was like, and I think that you could barely hear it because it's such a big auditorium and we had like these little dinky, amps. So they're cranked up all the way and you just hear like,
And nothing like blending. Like it was just like it was so bad, and it was such a learning lesson. But I feel like at the time we didn't even care. It was like an opportunity to play, and we were like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah, it was a big audience.
Yeah, we were like, let's do it. It was stupid because it sounded like shit. And we learned that you can't do that, obviously. We didn't even count in. We're like, go. And just went. I mean, literally just like the very beginning for us playing live music.
Yes, man. And rest assured, man, I heard this, and I know in my heart that these are some really, for their age or otherwise, I know that these are some really talented musicians. And I also know that this is not sounding the way that they rehearsed. And you pile that onto the fact that I considered them both friends. Man, I was absolutely lost. And then we jumped right from that to back into the ceremony where Matt Campo's talking behind me again, and I just like I laughed for an hour and 10 minutes straight. Like,
I wish that was filmed. I wish we had that on camera somewhere, man, because I'm just curious.
Someone might, you know what I'm saying? Like that would make my day too. I remember very distinctly my mom afterwards was just as caught up in it. She's like, man, that was very funny. And my dad, it wasn't a talk, like, don't get me wrong, but my dad wound up speaking to me and he's just like, I'm not mad, but just like, what was that? And I tried to explain to him that it's like, Matt Campo's voice, and my dad's just kind of like, I guess, like he wasn't mad. I'm really not characterizing my dad in any negative light, but my mom was like caught up in it too. And my dad was just like, you look like an insane guy for an hour and 10 minutes. Like, I don't know how to explain that,
You know what, man? I thought it was great, Paul.
Yeah.
That made the show, really.
Yeah. I vaguely remember like you laughing, but I was up on stage because I was the Spanish Honor Society president. So I had all this was like lost on me because I was wrapped up in that. I had to give a short speech, was no more than 5 sentences in Spanish. And also I chose to wear a pinstripe suit from my uncle that was 2 sizes too big. And in addition to that, I was doing pull-ups earlier that day for no reason, like I never do. And I hit my head on the edge of the door frame. So I had a big cut right across my forehead. And I looked like some fucking gangster or something, like ridiculous, like too much. So all this was not lost on me, the laughing and the song you guys played, but I was just like lost in my, like, I look like an idiot. Like of the like 3 times I've been on the stage in high school, 2 of them with Jason at the talent show. And then this time.
But I love to go up there and you're just like, hola, me llamo Alex.
Yeah.
And, like deliver this speech. I'm like, how the hell is this kid? He's the president of this whole Spanish society.
I'm so bad at Spanish too.
Well, I don't know. I think you're pretty good, man.
Let's keep the focus on the 2 of y'all on stage together. I remember very vividly one of the coolest things I've ever seen, and I'm happy to say that this is well after the 3 of us are very good friends. But it didn't change the fact that I thought it was the coolest. Like, I would have thought it was the coolest thing no matter what. Is when you all, during one of the variety shows or pop jazz festivals, popped in to play Can't Stop. And one of the coolest things I've ever seen, speaking of Wong's 3 times up on that stage, is when he took the time to slide in his skeleton costume, and he does like this high stepping Big Baby Davis move before Big Baby Davis was a thing.
Mhm.
And he just slides in, and I just remember like my jaw hitting the floor, and I was like, "Those are my friends, man! Like that's freaking awesome."
That was fun. I took the time to go home and shave the mohawk in between because I had 2 lunch periods off. So I like only maybe 40 people saw it in the last period that I had before, the day before that show. And then we were trying to go all out with the chili pepper style. So I had like a ridiculous flea costume,
Yeah.
Sam's got the singing on point, and like Adam's got a skirt on playing the drums, and that was a lot of fun because I think that was probably the biggest audience we played for. And meanwhile it was just the one cover. We had it down, and like just playing it was like, that was a lot of fun. That was probably one of the best performances that we had, even though I butchered the backup vocals the second
Oh,
night.
I don't think so, man. I thought it was on. I thought it was good.
Terrible.
I thought it was good.
All authentic, man. All beautiful stuff, man.
Yo, and Wong's one of those guys, man. Like he's like quiet and reserved, but then he's like the first person that wants to do the most radical shit.
Yes. Yo, I've said this before. If I had to pick the 2 hardest times I've ever laughed in my life, we are pretty much at a standstill between. Let me just
Oh, Tommy, upgrading, baby.
boy,
Go.
baby boy, hang on. We are pretty much at a standstill time between the time I climbed a mountain in Vermont with Steve Soroka to go meet the Flowbots. That was hilarious. But the time that sounds less interesting, but I promise you it was more interesting, is when Wong had unfortunately hurt his shoulder. And I was talking to Alex at a bar, and then suddenly, I don't know what he says before it, but he's just like, all right, like, let's go dance. And he jumps in, and he's got his one good arm up, and like the other arm is like in a sling.
Yeah.
And he's there in his son's jersey, and he just jumps in and starts dancing. And that was the second hardest I've ever laughed in my life. Like, rest assured. Rest assured. I do think it's number 2, if I'm being honest with myself, but it is a hell of a number 2.
Wong, can you run me through that story, man? I'm not.
I don't even remember that. I had to take a couple of months off because I messed up my shoulder mountain biking. So
Yeah.
there was a longer recovery than I wanted to. And Tom definitely was a good friend, came over to watch basketball and go out and grab a drink when we needed to.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you hurt your shoulder again, man, like jumping off like a cliff in the water or something like that?
Oh, yeah,
That
tell
was
us
another
that
time.
story, please.
Oh, sorry.
Speaking of hiking up mountains, you should have taken your bike with no handlebars up that one, Tom. But yeah, that was another time we were hiking in Vermont, and then
What you've done is so beautiful. Oh, Alex. Oh, tremendous.
jumping off the quarry, and yeah, I just landed flat on my back, got a standing ovation, and my whole back was covered in red and white, marks, and I got a big dick on my shoulder. So that was the highlight of the night.
Get the language back, Alex. But it was like God's way of being like, all right, here you go. This is what you deserve.
You didn't get hurt again. But
Oh,
speaking of, excuse me, watching people crack up, because I think this stemmed actually from you guys. We're in late high school, and Jason and Sam are telling me they were playing Crazy Eights with Tom the other night. So they were like, oh, we were playing cards all night, and it was like probably the most fun we've had, excuse me, in a long time. And they tell me, oh, every time you got an 8, you got to go, they're crazy.
And Tom's hair at this point was like I feel like it was like sinking below his shoulders at this point. Like he had this fro that was just like.
yeah.
But
All right.
yeah, from there also came, I think, Sam's evolution of the EBGBs.
Yes.
And what you were saying before, just watching people crack up, because they're just like, you got to do it, it'll be so funny, you got to do it. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that, that's so stupid. So like probably weeks later, I busted it out on them without any preparation. So we're in Jason's kitchen, and Sam's got like Doritos in his mouth, and Jason's just standing there, and I give them like my best all out, I got the cheese! And Sam just like falls back against the wall, is choking on the chip. Jason's keeled over on the counter, just like dying laughing. And
like, why do we do that in school? Like, we're like right in the middle of class, and you just Alex like throws his book.
That so much to the point that it was like in class during fire drills, in like the variety show, and it was funny at first. It was like really, people were like, "What is going on? This is crazy." These people just having this outburst, and then we do it in Spanish class, and Miss Kaylin's like, "Okay, guys, okay, that's enough."
All right, that's it. Yeah, that was some good times, man.
And she says that to the president of the Spanish chapter of
Yeah.
the Foreign Language Honor Society. That's when you know, man. When those checks and balances are utilized, that says a lot. Jason, man, tell me about one particular time when you tried to take your SATs and it didn't necessarily go to plan.
Man.
Yeah.
Another memory I don't recall, Tom.
Yeah, no doubt. You all wanted to do this together. Let's be clear.
All right, so I went to go take the SAT, and I had, I guess it was like I didn't have any form of ID. No, I didn't have anything, I don't think. And I kind of knew that going in. I was like, oh, I'm going to be screwed, but let's try it out, see what happens.
Yeah.
And for some reason, the girl who was before me, she just kind of knew one of the teachers, and they didn't even check her ID. They just kind of let her in, which is understanding. And I took that a little too heavy, and I was next up and didn't have any ID. And they wouldn't let me into the SAT. And I knew my parents were going to whoop my butt. So I was really fighting to get into that SAT.
Right.
And the next person after me decided to really just push it right in my face. And they kind of just made the statement, oh, I have my driver's license. I have my library ID. I have my pool ID. I'm like, you son of a gun. And I lost my cool, and I got, I was kicked out. And
no doubt.
And that was the extent of it, man. That was one of the worst memories that I really had. One of the worst reactions that I've ever
pulled out all the IDs.
No.
I don't even know. Some just little son of a gun. I don't know. I don't even know who it was. Just like putting it right in my face. I have my library card. I have my pool ID. I have my Oh, come on, man.
If only you could use one of the extras that I have,
Yeah, that sucked. Someone came to pick me up, and I was just like, yeah, I think I did good. Yeah, I think I did great.
Probably want to take it again, just to be sure.
Probably would.
But I'm going to do even better next time.
Yes, indeed. Oh, man. Well, you know what they say, man. On the SATs, you can leave them blank if you don't know them,
Yeah,
tremendous, man. Wong, man. This is going to be kind of a tough transition, and especially tough with kind of three people in the room. But I don't want to speak for you, but from my outsider's perspective, one of the cool things that you've gotten to experience as part of your line of work with helping wildlife and measuring nature and things like that is the ability to have lived in different communities throughout the country. Can you kind of talk us through, like real quick, some of the places where you've lived? And Lord knows we have some memories in a couple of those spots. But kind of, can you talk us through where you've lived over the course of kind of your experience before you kind of settled down in the place where you're at?
Sure, yeah. I almost actually wore my I got crabs in Maryland.
Dude, so did I.
But I didn't want to push. I didn't want to push it too much.
I
I was
can't
gonna
do,
wear mine too, but it's a belly shirt, so I didn't want to really rock that.
I can't do sleeveless, man. I'm not working out that hard, baby boy.
Yeah, I mean, I lived all over the place. I did a lot of internships with the Student Conservation Association. So, um, pretty much like unpaid, but they, put you up in housing, get good experience with federal agencies, internships. So I lived in Southern Arizona, and Jay was nice enough to drive Bella, my dog, out there with my mom across the country, and we met in Oklahoma. And then he came out. He went to a Diamondbacks game, did the Grand Canyon, um,
Won 2 beer pong
won
tournaments.
2 beer pong tournaments back to back, and then he flew home there. But that was nice because it was like a really remote, only 1,700 people in the whole town. Nothing really to do besides hang out with coworkers, which is fine, but gets old as well. And it was nice that I was able to get Bella out there because she wouldn't have been able to do it by herself, drive the whole way out. So that was nice of him to do that, and then also make a little trip out of it.
Well, can I just hold on real quick? I apologize. I don't want to interrupt, but I want to just note that when Bella was a puppy, Wong had her in the back seat, and he made a sudden stop, and Bella kind of like flew, right? She had some kind of traumatic experience in the car. So when we had to bring her now across the country, somehow we have to keep this dog in line, and so she's not freaking out, and she doesn't like literally pass out. So Wong's mom luckily had some kind of
the dog tranquilizers.
Dog tranquilizer to put her out. And I remember the first night going, that dog didn't make a move, man. She's like, I think I might have given it a little bit too much. We're gonna trace it back a little bit tomorrow. But I remember that dog being out cold. But it was worth it. Absolutely.
Yeah, so from there, I moved to North Carolina for a short stint. That was good food. And then back to Fire Island. That was probably one of the best summers, just living in a beach house where obviously you guys all came to experience the fun there.
That was sick.
And Virginia for a short period. And then Maryland for 2.5 years. That was a good time where you came down for the Pirate Fest the first time, Polly.
Absolutely, we did.
That was definitely a hoot. I'm surprised you didn't.
Honestly, we're gonna save that for a solo show. We're gonna have you back on soon. That was.
Yeah, that was a trip.
Yep.
Dozen good people there, and all the shenanigans you can ask for. And then I was in a different part of Maryland for 2 years after that first 6-month period, and you guys missed the first Crab Fest. It was just like in Cambridge, Maryland. It was like a restaurant crab cook-off. Your best crab soup, your best crab roll, whatever you want. So a bunch of people came down the first time, and then I'm glad it was just you two the next time because it was a little bit more intimate than trying to just like get everybody from bar to bar and go back to the Airbnb. We did have to keep Polly in line because he was going off chasing the Pokemon at that time. But
oh, baby, blowing it over. Let's go.
Where are you going? We're here for the food. And he's like, there's a Pikachu over there. Gotta get it.
Yeah.
But that was during the height of it. That was when that kid just came out. So we're like, all right, we can't blame him. But
yeah.
That was one time.
They would just be sneaking up behind me, just like, "What are you doing?" I'd be like, "Nothing." So bad.
Yeah, so that was definitely a good time. Yeah, I mean, after that, I moved back to Arizona, and I was in Flagstaff. That was an awesome city. Always thinking about getting back out there at some point. And my parents retired to Tucson, so that's close there. And sister Byron and Junie are in Las Vegas, so we had like a nice little thing close enough for like a month, and then I moved back to Massachusetts right after my parents moved out there. So just went for the job with the USGS, which I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And fortunately just got on permanent after a long time of doing the temporary and the term jobs. So
Way to go, man. Well deserved on that. Tremendous stuff.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
When Juan was living in Maryland,
Yeah.
it's a quick one. For some reason, my wife and I, we went to go visit my cousin, and my cousin's place wasn't in the best shape at the time. We didn't really know what we were walking into at all whatsoever. There wasn't any furniture. We had like a little mattress on the ground. There was like dog poop in different rooms, and so it was absolutely disgusting. And we needed to leave immediately. And my wife was ready to leave me at this point. She's like, if we don't get the heck out of here, like, this is it. So I called up Wong. I was like, yo, Wong, we're in Maryland. Can we just like stay the night? We need a place to go. We can't go back to my cousin's house. And one of the coolest things Wong has done, he has a whole dinner for us. We show up at like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning. We just traveled all the way across Maryland to get to him. And he had a whole table of food, like wings, everything he prepared. And they didn't even eat anything. Like, they waited for us to get there to eat. And it was awesome. He made the trip like kind of come back together again.
yeah,
My wife was able to stay with me because of this. So
Hey,
glad to
right
hear, yeah, you guys were in the area and able to make it out for a trip.
yeah, it was a good
Awesome.
time.
Yeah, great stuff indeed. We already touched on part of the Cambridge trip. Wong was kind enough to get us all sleeveless shirts, which is great. I still do have mine. I can't say I break it out very often, but it's a cool little keepsake to have. When Jay does a solo show, I might wear it for the Instagram,
Oh, let me shut my window here.
Oh no! Tell me he has it readily available. Good lord. So, one of the cool things about that trip, making that trip with you, Jason, was it sounds stupid, but it's too significant to like not mention.
Mhm.
It's when we took that drive out together, you had purchased this drink that had the pulp in it, and it was proudly promoting the pulp.
Mm.
And while we were driving along, we were kind of improvising, which is what we do. I mean, it would be too long of an explanation to really go into like why Jay and I do the quirky stuff that we do musically. Indeed, once Jay and I do a solo show, we'll probably talk about the trip we took to pick up Sean Taylor.
We're like about to die, like driving in the rain. Like,
we were going to pass away. It was not very good. Like it was our body's defense mechanism to like revert to that kind of humor.
I think the windshield wipers were broken or something. Like
no, I don't think I know. Like it was bad. It was not good, man.
It was rough.
Yeah. Yes, but Jay and I were kind of improvising, throwing the word pulp into random lyrics and random beats and things like that. And it sounds so stupid, but everyone listening, you have to take my word for it. It wasn't stupid. It was really cathartic. We both went to spell the word pulp at the same time. So instead of saying pulp, we just kind of jumped into like P-U-L-P. And we both did it at the same time, which was this real like holy Christmas kind of moment.
Yeah.
And that moment would have stuck with me no matter what. But over the course of the visit with Wong, we wind up at this place called Rar Bar.
Real revival.
Yeah. And I swear there have been a couple of occasions where all of our group of friends, I'm not even singling out Jay, where like I swear we come to like the same realization at the same time. It just kind of shows like how close, or at the very least, like how much time we're spending with each other. This RAR brewery has a beer called PULP, and this is well after we make the trip and we're saying pulp and spelling pulp indeed. And I swear to God, I see like this shirt for sale out of the corner of my eye, like right as Jay like walks up next to the bar, and I'm just like, I literally say to him because I don't believe my eyes because we're in a brewery, obviously, and you know we're not sipping water. And I say to Jay, I'm just like, yo, does that say pulp? And he's just like, yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. Like, and so I literally like, I flagged the bartender with all of the vehemence in my soul and got him over. And I'm just like, I need a large of one of the pulp shirts, but I'll settle for a medium if you need it. And I picked up that pulp shirt, and man, to this day, I don't think there's any article of clothing I have that brings about more actual memories than literally picking up that pulp shirt. Because also on the way back, and this is not a story, certainly nobody tunes in to hear about my life, but we also went to see my buddy Nick's son for the first time.
You brought like Cookie Monster or something.
I did, yeah. So I couldn't help it. And I remember making the trip back, and I have like this big, it's a pretty big Cookie Monster, and I'm like grinning like an idiot, you know? And Jason says to me as soon as I walk in, he's just like, you almost bought one for yourself, didn't you? And I'm like, yeah.
Can you tell by my face? Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty special. But bottom line, the first time I met my buddy's son, Jackson, I was wearing the pulp shirt, and that just is another layer of, you know, things that shouldn't be significant, but they kind of are.
Yep.
Bottom line, it was a great trip, really cool time. Wong mentioned that he lived in Fire Island for a time, and Lord knows we had some cool trips there. Jay, being the kind soul he is, took some time to convince me that there was an actual casino there on Fire Island. Jay, is there something to talk me through on that? Did you just decide to like prey on me a little bit?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's so easy. Sometimes you just got to pull it a little bit. So I wound you up a little bit, Tommy. I apologize. I think you brought money to gamble with too. And then I remember you didn't bring money?
No, because I was so hot. Like, we showed up at Fire Island, and everybody was talking about, oh, I can't wait to go to the casino. And I was like, nobody told me that there was a casino. I didn't bring any money to gamble with. And Jay just kind of made that worse.
But I remember looking at your face when you came to the realization that it was a bar and not an actual casino. And you kind of just gave me that look like, you SOB. You know, like, you knew exactly what I was doing.
Indeed, man. Indeed. Oh, man. A couple of stories I wanted to wrap up with. Considering you both were there, I want to hear both of your perspectives, and I want to start with Wong. Sean Taylor trying to return a suit on New Year's Eve. Can you just kind of talk me through your memories of that, and then we'll jump to Jason?
Wait, what was it?
Sean Taylor trying to pick up a suit on New Year's Eve.
Return the suit that he got on New Year's Eve.
So, Lenny Furtado was with us too that day.
Yes, he was. Yeah, man.
He didn't help the situation at all, just cracking up. And we go in. Who else was there with us? It was me, Sean, Lenny.
Maybe like Rupak?
Yeah, must have been.
Must have been.
Who else is not going to help the situation? Just like, you know, Sean's always late. It starts that. He's our ride into New York City, and we're like, okay, it's New Year's Eve. It's going to be bad traffic. We're already leaving later than we want at like 6:30 or 7 o'clock. So we're like, all right, it's going to take like an hour and a half to get in to the city to wherever we're going before we go out. And he's like, I just need to stop at, what is it, the Roosevelt Mall?
I think so, yeah.
And return. He got a suit with a coupon, but the pieces didn't match. So he was trying to return it.
I think he got the coupon after. He made the purchase, and then he had the coupon, and he wanted to see if he can return it and then use the coupon to purchase a new one.
Fair enough.
Something like it was a little bit roundabout. Seemed like if anybody in
Sounds
customer
like you.
service, if anybody in customer service wanted the sale, they would have just done it for him. But he's waiting on this line behind maybe 7 or 8 people before him. And so we're standing around, and a half hour goes by before he gets to the register. And we're just like, okay, he's going to do this relatively quickly.
And this is the only register in like a 20-foot, 30-foot, like there was no other place to go.
Everybody else was closed or longer lines. And he gets up to the front and he starts explaining his situation. And he's got the coupon and he's got the suit. I think maybe he was trying to return 1 or 2 pieces of it, but keep the other. I don't know what it was, but he's trying to explain this to the lady, and she's like, we can't just take part of it back or honor the coupon after you return it for the full price, because that's not how it works. Something was, they didn't want to give into his, which seemed, it didn't seem like all that an unreasonable request. But for somebody who's busy, and I know you work in customer service, Polly, if someone comes up to you at full capacity and they're like, I want to do X, Y, and Z without having to pay for A, B, and C.
Yeah.
And you're like,
there's a whole alphabet out there, baby.
Well, I don't know about that. And he must have been talking to them with a line building behind him for, I'm not exaggerating, 45 minutes.
Yeah, it was bad.
Something obnoxious, and we're like ready to go out for New Year's Eve.
Yes.
And it, as the time goes by, we're just cracking up harder and harder at, like, you could see the frustration building on his face.
Yeah. And also the people behind him.
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
People
they
are
were like throwing their hands up,
like just walking out of the line, just like, come on, guy, like, and like me and Lenny and Rue or whoever was there are just like dying laughing. And Jason's the only one who's like, if Sean doesn't get this suit, he's going to flip. So you guys need to like stop, just walk away, just stop laughing or something.
Yeah, he was getting pissed.
Sean was hot. Sean was very hot, man. For my part, I remember at least I gave him an apology, and then he helped me tie my tie later that night, and that's how we buried the hatchet. But it was an absolutely tremendous exchange. My memory is me and Alex thinking it was hilarious. Lenny just being there along for the ride, like being the person and friend that we all should have been. And at the risk of speaking for Jason, like Jason was the guy who's just like, I'm gonna kill Sean Taylor. And I was just like,
And I will say, man, this isn't even on all Sean Taylor. Like, what the hell were they doing? They should have said, like, listen, sir, you're gonna have to step off to the side. You can talk with it. But instead, they were kind of like helping him out. They're like, oh, we'll check to see if we have the size, the color, and they were kind of like playing along with it.
right.
So, I mean, it wasn't all Sean Taylor.
No, not at all. Not at all.
With that said, what the fuck were we? Sorry, what were we doing? What were we doing on New Year's Eve doing it? You know what I'm saying? Like, that was the whole thing.
That was the Sean Taylor move. And where you were saying Jason's getting mad, he was being the mediator, where he's like, all right, guys, you need to stop laughing. But then he's Sean. He's like, Sean, come on, let's just do this. Come on, man.
Yeah, we'll do this tomorrow. Like, we don't have to do this. But Sean's philosophy is he always says, like, we'll make up the time on the road. He's like, don't worry about it. Now we're going, baby. And Sean Taylor's, he's going to get us there.
What's his name, baby?
Sean Taylor was the name, baby.
After that, he stopped in a shoe store to get some going out runners for the New Year's Eve. He's like, I got to be quick on my feet. And we look at these bright orange, running shoes that they're clearly not going to let him into any bar with on New Year's Eve.
Yep.
He was looking fresh, man. We all know it. Gentlemen, I kind of want to close this with, first of all, the blanket statement. Y'all are a couple of my best friends in the world. It means so much to be able to sit here and reminisce, and I'm so grateful to, A, have the stories, to talk about, B, still be close enough with y'all to continue to reference them and have a great time speaking. And also, I know once kind of this madness is behind us, we got great memories ahead. y'all mean the world to me, and there's only so much I can say that before it just kind of sounds hollow. Secondly, I do eventually, there's no rush, I do eventually want to have each of y'all on individually. But I love that if I had to pick kind of a trio to kind of break that kind of seal and have like a three-way Corn Chronicle, you would definitely be the gentleman to do it. Last but not least, I want to close with a story that I wasn't there for, but it's a story that I treasure in my own way. Jay and Wong, I don't know who wants to take the lead. I would love to close the show if y'all kind of walk me through the time you sang Hotel California to help out Joanne, and just kind of made that work for the lovely people in attendance at the home. That's something I would really love to close the show with, and eventually have you each on individually to cover some more stories of what has been just a tremendous lifetime.
I think you're starting to see like the trend here of us performing out live and it going absolutely terribly wrong. You know? Like, probably get half of the stories, you know. I don't know.
I'm not in those, baby. I'm not in those.
You're right, Tom. You're not. I would say, you know, we weren't even supposed to be playing this song. You know, my mom has always put together this talent show we play every year. The old people don't really care, to be honest with you. They're kind of just sitting there, like looking at you, staring at you, and I'm fine with that. That's good. As long as they're not upset, I'm doing my job.
Where's this at? Where's this at?
This is Gerwin. This is in Comac. It's a geriatric home. And, you know, we're practicing a song for the talent show, and it sounds really good, and we're doing really well. I don't remember what the song was, but then the day before, or might have even just been the day of, like, we kind of had like a band talk, and everyone's like, well, let's just do Hotel California. Day before. Yeah, it was the day before.
Because you spent like 4 hours at my house that night on the computer trying to learn the solo the night before, and it's such a long song in general that, you know, you get to that point and you try to go for a 3-minute solo after it, and it's like, no way, man. So
and there was no way I could even play the solo. Like this is back when we were in, I don't know,
10th grade, 11th grade,
10th, 11th grade. And there was no, I mean, we shouldn't have been playing that song at all, but for some reason,
it was like we went from a Chili Peppers easy cover to we're gonna learn Hotel California the day before.
That's always been the case, man. So we, you know, we get out there. Wong's singing it well. He's singing the verses really well.
Dude, don't even play it. Like
no. The verses were on.
When you brought up the basement band, what you excluded right from the start was that I started singing, and you know, when Tom told the story, oh, he was holding a bass, I was shortly moved from he can sing, but we could also teach him bass, and it won't be that bad, you know. So they quickly taught me how to play bass, and then Sam became the singer. But for this must have been one of the last performances before that, because I was still singing.
Yeah. Yep.
So it was totally off key the whole time.
You know what? I'm gonna take blame for it. I'm gonna take blame for it. I think I was maybe playing the wrong chord progression for the chorus. So when Wong went to go hit it, he was like,
"Doesn't matter, man." It was so bad that after the first verse, your mom's coworker grabbed a second mic and came up and started singing with us.
But no. It's worse than that. She didn't come up right next to us. She like bent down next to the.
She was ducking down
first row people and tried to just blend in and like cover up
make it sound better than it actually was.
So we're just mowing through it, you know. It sounds like shit, you know. We're mowing through it, and you know, it's just about to get over to that guitar solo, and I look over at my mom, and my mom's just like, "Done. Cut. Like, get off now. You guys are terrible. You're like, I'm disowning you guys. Yeah, like you're never playing this again." And you know, we just kind of like cut. We're like,
that's it.
Yeah. I wish we had a video of that, because it probably is absolutely awful. so it's terrible. It's, as it couldn't have went any worse, honestly. And we pack up the car, it's me, Juan, Sam, my brother, and my mom, and it's not a big car.
We've got drums. Me and Adam are sitting in the back with all the drum equipment on top of us. Jason, Sam have everything there, and
Car's packed.
We're getting reamed out by Joanne. She's not happy because she's a great musician, and everybody that she works with knows this. And her son's band comes up, both sons' band comes up, and just embarrassed them because we didn't practice at all. It was our faults that we could have played something else.
Yeah.
And
what do you think, Jason? What's wrong with you, Jason?
So the dust.
A bunch of thugs.
we get chewed out for 10 or 15 minutes, and finally she's like, all right, we're just gonna turn on the radio, not talk, and go home. As soon as she hits the button, you hear, "Welcome to the Hotel California." It's probably as bad as I was singing it right now, but
and we're all dying laughing, and my mom's
just starts cracking up.
She's smacking me in the front seat for laughing as hard as I am. Juan's in the back seat trying to be as polite as possible, but laughing his ass off.
That was probably when I lost it, because I was not happy about the whole situation. I thought we could pull it off, and it just was terrible.
Tremendous, man. I love that story. I wish I was there, but sure feels like I was. That's tremendous, man. Beautiful stuff. Gentlemen, I want to thank you both again for joining me today. It's been a pretty cool lifetime, and Lord knows it's been a pretty cool hour or so getting the chance to sit back and reminisce with you, and I look forward to doing it again soon, all right?
Thanks for having us, brother. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Corn Chronicles. The search continues. I have been Tom Policastro, joined by Mr. Alex Wong and Mr. Jason Kaplan, throwing up those deuces for you. There you go. I'll never call him Big Poppy, but we'll get to it. All right, guys. I love you. See y'all later.